tonight's homework we are going to be doing practice problems. So let's write practice problems on the top. And there's going to be 4 problems that you're going to do, and then I'm going to go over them after. This should be on page 19. So I'm going to write down 4 problems, I'm going to have you do them, put in your answers, and then I'm going to go over them after. So number 1. So you're going to find M and find the measure of each angle. And this is going to be 3m minus 3 degrees, 2m plus 7 degrees, and m plus 2 degrees. So find M, find the measure of each angle. That's number 1. Number 2. It says, what is the area of the trapezoid on a rectangle? So we're going to have a trapezoid. And it's going to be on a rectangle. Okay. And the side lengths are going to be 18 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and 12 centimeters. That's number 2. Number 3. Solve for x. That's 140 degrees, and this is x plus 5 degrees. That's number 3. And then number 4 will be to plot -2, -3, -1, 1, and 2, -1. And then you're going to enlarge the figure from the origin by a factor of 3. And label it as A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay, so those are your 4 problems. Go ahead and do them. Enter in your answers to the questions that it asks, and then I'll be going over them after. So as I go through these answers, if you've made a mistake somewhere, try to do the new work in a different color. Don't necessarily erase your old work. Just kind of correct it somehow so that you can see what your mistakes were before, as you go through and study, okay? So, number 1, find M and the measure of each angle. Well, in a triangle, we know that they sum to be 180. So I'm going to say 180 has to equal 2m plus 7 plus m plus 2 plus 3m minus 3. I'm going to combine like terms, so 180 equals, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 m's. We have 7 plus 2 is 9, minus 3 is 6. To solve for m, I'm going to subtract 6. So 174 equals 6m. Divide by 6, which means m equals 29. Let me just double check that that's the right math. Yeah, m is 29. So that's the first part of the problem, is it asks for m. The second part of the problem, it says, and the measure of each angle. So let's think about what I do with that m. With that m, I'm going to plug it in to each of those and solve for the degree measure. So for angle A, that's 3m minus 3, which means I'm going to plug in 29. So we do 3 times 29 minus 3, and we get the measure of angle A is 84 degrees. You continue doing that for B. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to do 2 times 29 plus 7, 65 degrees. And then finally, measure of angle C is going to be m plus 2, so 29 plus 2 is 31 degrees. And to check my work, I can actually add all those up. So if I do 84 plus 65 plus 31, oops, that was multiplication. 84 plus 65 plus 31, you'll see that it does equal 180, which is exactly what you wanted. So that's number 1. Number 2, we're finding the area of the trapezoid on a rectangle. So I'm going to find the area of the rectangle first. That's just base times height. So that's going to be 4 times 18. And when I do 4 times 18, that's going to be 72. So that's my first area. But I also need to find the area of the trapezoid. Area of the trapezoid. I know my formula is going to be base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Well, this right here, 18, is my base 1. But then my base 2 is right here, and I don't know that length. But I know this full one is 18, and then I have 2 and 2. So the full is 18 minus 2 minus 2. That means this guy is 14. So plus 14, the height is 3. Then I'm going to divide by 2. And I'm going to just put that right in my calculator. But make sure you have parentheses. So that's going to be 18 plus 14 times 3, divide by 2, and we get 48. Okay, now a lot of students will get those two answers and you did it all right, but you're not answering the question. You have to add those together. So we have to do 72 plus 48, and that's going to be 120. So I'm going to say the area equals 120 centimeters squared because the units are centimeters and we're in 2 dimensions with area. So that's number 2. Number 3, it just says solve for x. Now, looking at these two sides right here, those mean that those sides are congruent. Now, that's an isosceles triangle. If I have an isosceles triangle, I know that the opposite angles are congruent, so this has to be x plus 5 as well. If I have x plus 5 and x plus 5, and I have this guy out here, which is 140, I can use exterior angle theorem. Which says that 140 is going to equal x plus 5 plus x plus 5, which means 140 equals 2x plus 10. When I solve for x over here, 130 equals 2x, divide by 2, which means x equals 65. Okay, in this particular problem, it just said solve for x. On your test, it will say justify exterior angle theorem is your justification. Okay, because that's how you know you can add those up and set them equal. Okay, and then the last one, we are going to be plotting points. Now I don't have a ton of room on this page, so I'm going to get an extra page and I'm going to plot the points on my other page. So give me a quick second and I will make my coordinate plane so that I can plot my points. Okay, so I now have my coordinate plane, that's right there, And I'm going to start by plotting -2, -3. So over 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3, that's A. Then over -1, up 1, B. And then 2, -1, that's C. So that's my original image. It's a triangle. And then it says to enlarge from the origin by a factor of 3. So if I'm going to look at A, to get from A, from the origin, you're going to go down 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2. That's a factor of 1 because I did it once. It says do a factor of 3. That means I'm going to do that 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1 time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, that's 2 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, that's 3 times, which means that's A prime. Same thing with B. I go up 1 over 1, so I'm going to do that 3 times. Up 1 over 1, that's once. Up 1 over 1, twice. Up 1 over 1, that's 3 times. There's B prime. C, down 1 over 2, so down 1 over 2, that's once. Down 1 over 2, that's twice. Down 1 over 2, that's 3 times. There's my C prime. Then when I connect those, there's my new image.